Please put your hands together and give a warm welcome to our host, William Kavan.
Thank you so much, guys. You really probably shouldn't be applauding for me as much as you should be for our amazing panelists here. And I would like to start by welcoming you guys to from full-time student to full-time career. On the end, we have Kevin Yang. He's a visual designer. We have Priscilla, Ella. Rojas? Is it Rojas? Okay, but you should say it because you say it so much better than I do.
Rojas. It's pretty much.
Isn't that awesome? It's okay. My parents named me William because they're like, oh. This one's special. Next, we have Sean Riggins. He's a recording engineer. And Alfredo, Lara. So guys, today we're going to be talking just a little bit about what it's like going from full-time student into a full-time career. And I think everybody up here has got some amazing experience and an amazing background when it comes to jumping into it that way. Because as you're a student and as you're running through Full Sail, one of the big things you have in abundance is passion. And with any luck, by the time you're done, you're still going to have perseverance. But it's still going to take all of that extra work, and it's going to take all of that extra push to turn this into a full-time career and not just a hobby of some kind. So why don't we start out by just kind of talking about our first experiences outside of Full Sail, and we'll just kind of start rolling from there. Jump in.
Priscilla, ladies first.
Right, the ladies first. Okay. Nice to meet you guys. I'm Priscilla Rojas. I graduated on March of 2016, and literally like a month later, I tried to get into the TV channels. So I started to produce 2 TV shows, one about tourism and gastronomy, and the other one is about like a morning show. So right now we're still doing it, and pretty much was trying to, I want to go to film because I studied film, and the idea was that, okay, we have this opportunity right now after I graduated, and I started to do these TV shows with my friends, the ones that studied with me on the master. And pretty much what we started was like, okay, I will produce, because I love to produce any type of TV, films, or any project that we can do like in media. And I have friends that love to direct. So I tried to find like a way that we can, for example, I will produce the TV shows, he will direct, the other one will be the DP. And pretty much we start to build our career together after Full Sail. So that's what we are doing right now, probably 1 year since we graduated. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do right now.
That's cool.
So for me, I graduated in December 2015. My first experience after Full Sail was going to Austin to design some software for IBM. And that was probably the first time that I had ever worked with other people in different disciplines. Like, I think school sort of frames things in a way where you're presenting a type of work to people, to your teachers, to your students, to people who by and large understand what you're trying to do and accomplish. But out in the real world, I realized that I had to present my work to people that didn't really know about design or how it's done. And that was really eye-opening for me, because I think it's easy to get lost in sort of this bubble where you're working with people that you can relate to and are passionate about the same things as yourself. And I think that was probably the biggest challenge for me, was learning how to communicate with like engineers and people who work in marketing and other executives.
Hi, Sean Riggins. I graduated in March of last year. When I left here, I had developed a relationship with Leslie Brathwaite, and I went to intern with him. I had a short internship. I ended up working with some artists in the studio, and the word got out that I was in town, and I ended up getting requested to work on other sessions, so my internship just dissolved by way of me getting work outside of the studio. So I didn't actually do anything in that particular studio. It was outside of the studio that I got all the work. I had to leave. Currently, I got a room in the spaceship with Leslie, so I go in there to mix, and then I freelance record around Atlanta.
What's up, guys? My name is Alfredo Lara. I'm originally from Mexico. I don't know if we had any other Mexicans here in the house, or maybe just Victor here. I see you, man. I graduated from the film program as well. I was able to also be part of the first class in the film production master's program it was the same program where Priscilla graduated from. After that, I got my first job back in 2014 in a TV show shot at Universal Studios here in Orlando. It was a TV show called Yo Soy el Artista, I Am the Artist, produced by a couple of Spanish producers that they were apparently very successful in Europe, and then they brought the same sort of like concept of the show down here. And yeah, I've been always into producing, so that's where my passion has always been at. Knowing a little bit more about the business aspect of TV and most importantly filmmaking as well. And I've somehow slowly made my transition into film. I was able to work on the last James Bond movie, Spectre, in Mexico City, back in 2015, coordinating all the extras for the opening action sequence and all of that stuff. And now I'm living in Los Angeles and working at an international film distribution company. So yeah, it's been quite a ride. It's good.
That sounds like an awesome ride. I don't know about you guys, but one of the big takeaways that I've already started to pull from this is about community and about relationships. And I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but they were talking about relationships that they had built while they were still here. Because one of the big things you'll notice in life is that overnight success is 10 years in the making. So a lot of what we're talking about here are those relationships that you're building up as you work, as you're going through school, you're reaching out. Being a student, especially in an entertainment school like this, you can reach out to the industry and you can have those big doe eyes like, I'm a student. How's it going? I want to be just like you. And people respond, and you can create that relationship. What kind of relationships did you guys start creating while you were in school still?
Well, here in Full Sail, pretty much everyone that works in our TV shows are from Full Sail. So, because pretty much they are my friends, and I know how they work. And I think it's the most important thing here in Full Sail, because you have to do networking. If you don't like it, do it, because you don't know, for example, in case of Alfredo, you don't know if he will hire you, I don't know, in 1 year, and he knows how you...
I will hire you anytime.
At any time that, I don't know, he needs probably a graphic designer, or he needs a DP or something like that, and those persons that are going to hire you like the more quicker in a certain way are your friends. So try to take in touch with them, try to reach them if you need any help, because there's another thing. There's people that think that they can do everything, and it's not like that. You have to be the director, and another person have to be the producer, another person have to be, I don't know, the makeup artist. And the idea is that you start to build that relationships here in Full Sail, because it's like our main, I don't know, like base in a certain way. And after you go outside Full Sail, the idea is that you keep in touch with them. Try to, at the most, for example, in meetings, even in parties here in Full Sail, you will meet a lot of people, because I did. And most of my friends that I met, obviously, in that moment, we didn't talk about work. But we start to talk about that, or I start to see her social networks or something like that, their work, and obviously, I use it like that. And it's pretty much what we are doing right now, building everything together.
Yeah, like Full Sail is just a really awesome time, right? You're basically spending, 2, 3, or 4 years with, one group of people, and you have the opportunity to like really know them very well and spend a lot of time, working hard together. Over in the digital arts and design department where I graduated from, we have these things called open labs where basically like after hours, people would come in and, try to get work done. And I just remember us like going to like Dunkin' Donuts and Wawa like super late at night, trying to like just get better, and I think to this day, those are still like some of my best friends that I've had, not only in class, but, spending all that time after class trying to get better at our craft. And I would challenge everyone to try to cultivate that sort of community in whichever degree that you're in, because at least for me, like even after graduating, I still keep in contact with those individuals in the labs. They're like seriously one of my best friends, like when I struggle like at work, or when I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, I typically reach out to them, and they understand, because anybody who goes to Full Sail understands like how hard you have to work for something to find success. So it's really easy to sort of empathize and connect on that sort of level.
Yeah, I think that's the whole reason why I'm successful now, is the relationships and networking. I actually went to a recording school 10 years ago and went to Atlanta and met someone there who now, when I'm back, they remembered me and they asked me, why are you interning right now? And I said, I'm not interning, I'm getting mentorship from my Michael Jordan. That's what I'm doing right now. And he respected that. So he told me that there was another studio that really needed help. He referred me to that studio, and that studio ended up linking me with 21 Savage and Amigos and Cap G and Lloyd and all kinds of different artists. But the success was 10 years in the making, and it did seem like overnight when I got there, but I had to prepare myself and build it up by skill set and by networking. My relationship with Leslie Brathwaite started a year before I left school. I met him at one of these events. He asked me what I wanted to do when I got out of school. I told him that I was going to come work for him. And he appreciated the ambition and invited me to come see him. So I started driving up there, and I drove up to see him at the end of every course. When we had the 2 days, or even if it was one day, I would drive up there, and I would leave at 4 a.m. in the morning and drive back here. So when I got out of school, I had a place already. I asked him if I could come work with him when I was done, and he was like, bro, you're working, you're here. So the relationships are so important, and to utilize the Full Sail alumni is such a powerful thing to take advantage of. Mm-hmm. I came back here as a professional, not to learn how to engineer. I came back specifically to be part of this alumni. Yeah. The networking is what makes the difference.
Yeah, and then I know, that you guys probably hear this 1,000 times every single day, right? Network. But it really is just that, When I first got here, I didn't know anyone, obviously, but like most of you guys. But I remember, like probably on the first week when I arrived here, they told me about this career development department, right? And how you could go there and people will advise you how you can apply for jobs, create a resume. And I had absolutely no idea what these things were. I'm from Mexico, so the whole thing was just different to me, And but unconsciously, as time went by, I started realizing that I was becoming friends with a lot of people that I unconsciously didn't know they would play a big role eventually. I will be going to. I remember the first time I stepped on career development, they said, so you got a resume with you, and they saw that it was literally my first month here at school, and they kicked me out. They were like, no, man, you're supposed to come here until like, a year later or so. But that kind of got me into realizing sort of like the steps I will have to eventually, take in order to pursue what I wanted to do. Eventually, once I was in classes, I started figuring out, who's good at what, and what can I learn from my classmates, because that's where you got to start, I keep hearing something, and that happened to me as well when I was here studying, all these guys that will come to me and they will say, oh, I've directed already, I don't need to learn this. It's like, why are you here then? Why do you come to get an education on this if you're so experienced, right? So it's all about, I guess, the stepping stone. It's to create a core or a very well develop network of friends within the environment that you are thrown into, which is with your classmates, then with your teachers, advisors, and then eventually, I mean, eventually you might be the one outreaching to get a job, or maybe people that already know you from this huge circle of network that you've created, they will recommend you for something. So you never know where it's going to come from. So it's important to keep that in mind. Look at the overall picture, but at the same time, know the tools that you have at your disposal in order to, improve on that aspect.
Listen to that again. Like, do you notice how it's that same common thread? It's those people that you become friends with. And I know you guys, it's been set up here 2 or 3 times, networking. Well, in 2017, the word networking is starting to become one of those words. And it's getting that way. No, really, it is. And I totally agree with that chuckle. And it's because nowadays, when you want to network with somebody, it's like, hi, my name is so-and-so, and I want something from you, give me. And that has become networking. What these guys are talking about are friendships. And if you go at networking from the concept of creating friendships and building those relationships over time, then it becomes mutually beneficial. It becomes good for everybody. I mean, Sean was talking about driving across the country to go work with somebody for 1 or 2 days a month. That's a huge investment. That's showing how much he's willing to put into a relationship. And if you're willing to put that much into a relationship, how much are you willing to put in for your own passions? So I kind of want to bring you guys next in the realm of, well, when you were going to school here, there was a certain schedule that you guys had. Because everybody knows it's easy to say, hey, let's go make friends. But the schedule here is rigorous.
Yeah.
What did you guys, how was it for you guys going from the schedule of being a student to the schedule of being a professional? And how did it affect those kind of relationships?
The crazy schedule, they tell you it prepares you, it absolutely does. I will think I'm off and I'll get a call at 2 o'clock in the morning. Young Thug's in here, do you want to come in? So the schedule that they have you set up for, you need to not think of it as like, oh, I got to go in at this time, but think of it as what free hours in the day do I have? What can I do with that and maximize the day? Because the reality is, even as a freelance person, you're going to get out there and think I can make my own schedule, but to stay relevant, everybody else is making your schedule, really. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? So the 24-hour model here is real life.
I think what Full Sail's rigorous schedule teaches you is really how to effectively manage your time. I think kind of like Sean just touched on that, about the importance of, right, when you get out of here, you realize you're really just fighting against time. I think everyone tries to do a lot, and the biggest constraint that we all have is we only have 24 hours in one day, and how do we maximize that? You have to, of course, you have to, go to work, get work done. I'm a big fan of side projects. I think that's as a creative person, it's really important to, have an outlet where you can do the things that you want to do. But also, to keep the relationships going. It's an investment. It's really kind of a true test at how well and how effective you are at deciding how long something's going to take. How much time should I invest in this? And Full Sail prepares you for that better than anywhere else, I would say.
I think another thing that I can add to that is that pretty much if you are here and if you had at least 1 week or 2 days available for anything, try to do it with friends, because here we have the equipment. If you can rent something, you can try to tell here to your instructors, hey, we need a camera, we want to do a film, we want to, we want to make a YouTube video or something. But try always to do something besides the projects that you have here in Full Sail. Eventually, obviously, you will have a reel after you finish the school. And the idea is that you have to have your website. You have to have a reel to show to the people when you done here in Full Sail, so the people can know what you are doing, no matter if you have 1 year in the master or probably 2 years. But pretty much the idea is that if you grow from here to real life, you have to know that obviously the same hours that you work here, probably you will have the double hours when you go to the real life. And there's a lot of things that, for example, when we made the TV shows, when we started to do the pre-production, we have like 3 days that we didn't sleep at all. And that's pretty much what you have to take in mind, because if you want something, you have to go for it. Whatever you want, no matter if you have to, probably your family or friends will not get it. And the idea is that if you want that, I don't know, be proud of yourself, or your family say, okay, my son is like busy, he can call me, or he's in class at 12 p.m. Probably your family will not, I don't know, understand it. But here in Full Sail, we know that we have classes until 1 a.m. or something like that. And that's pretty much what you're going to have if you are in any type of job in this entertainment business. So.
I was a production coordinator for this TV pilot episode that we shot actually here last year. And on the last day, I was talking with the executive producer, and I asked him, just for some advice, that he could give me. And I remember he told me, you gotta work as if there was somebody somewhere else working 24 hours a day trying to take what you want away from you, trying to take whatever it is that you aspire for. So, and that really hit me, because it's true, like these guys were saying, this is a non-stopping industry, it's always changing, it's always evolving. Companies are, or I've noticed that companies now, they're looking for more specialized people, they're not looking for your typical candidate that has, just these standard qualities. They're looking for people that can actually execute perhaps the general aspects of what they want them, but they also want a little more of that, And obviously this little difference, I guess it's only created when you are actually putting in the time, to develop yourself better, right? Whether it is something that I like to do, for example, and this is just a small example perhaps, I don't know if some of you might be subscribed to this website called deadline.com. It's a website specialized in they basically send hundreds of emails every single day with news about the TV and film industry. So I'm always getting all these emails, and I'm always reading, because you need to stay updated with everything that's happening, so that by the time you're out there and you meet this producer that you always wanted to talk to, or someone that might be able to get you involved in a project or something, you know exactly what's going on. They won't see you as the random or the typical person just looking for a job, and that's it. I don't know anything else. I just know I have to work, and can you get me something? It's in the little details like that it eventually pays off. So it's important to stay updated as well.
I want to add on to something that was just said. You talked about specializing versus being too general. We call that like being a T-shaped generalist, which generally means you know enough about everything to contribute to a conversation, but you should pick 1 or 2 things where you really have like a deep knowledge of it. I think that's what a lot of companies are trying to hire for today, because if you're too much of a generalist, what you'll find is you'll be on the outside of a lot of conversations looking in, because you won't have the knowledge base to contribute to that particular problem. So I would say definitely learn about a lot of different skills, but pick 1 or 2 where you're really striving to be like amongst the best in the field at what you do. It can be like really specific, or it could be like kind of like a vertical, like a set of skills that you need to do to get like a particular job done.
Yeah. Something you bring to the table that no one else can.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of people doing what we do. The thing is that you have to try to make them think that you are the right person instead of another one. Obviously, you will not do like, I don't know, I will do you something wrong to you or something, but the idea is that you have to try to search that job. And if you don't have it, try to do things that you can take the attention of the people. So in that case, for example, if you want to, someone like a channeler or a producer can take you like an opportunity for any type of project, you can start doing videos, you can start doing things and upload it on YouTube or Vimeo or any of the social networks that you can use as a platform to build your career in a certain way. So.
A good friend of mine, a producer from LA, he advised me once that it's important to know how to tailor your resume as well, you know, because sometimes a lot of us, and I include myself, because that's something that happened to me like hundreds of times, you would, you know, I guess I would just describe some of the duties or some of the things that I knew how to do in a very simple way, right? Sometimes you gotta make it sound a little fancier, you know, like I guess, make yourself marketable so that the people that come across this resume, they find something interesting and they find the specifics that they're actually looking for, you know? It's not the same thing saying, I drive a car, instead of saying, I'm a pilot, you know what I mean? It's different, these are different things. So, and that's something that has paid off, you know, very well for me personally. You know, I've noticed that ever since I started taking that into account, I've gotten more and more interviews out of the sudden. You know, because perhaps my resume was getting lost in all these thousands of resumes that these people were getting, and now I'm able to tailor the stuff that I've done with the position I'm applying for. So, yeah.
You looked like you had something.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I was gonna. Okay, it's kind of like Tinder. You know, you got to market yourself. You know, you got to pick the right photos. You know, you got to say what you're looking for without saying it. So.
No, I think that's the perfect example. I think today's job marketplace, that's going to be the next resume thing right there, guys. So if you're in web development and somebody just went, oh, Tinder resume.
Just Tinder. That's it.
Done.
That's all you need.
So you guys are starting to talk a little bit about pinpointing some of those things that are unique identifiers about yourselves and getting you guys to start finding those unique identifiers about yourselves. And Kevin brought up something a couple of questions back. He started talking about things that he was doing outside of the industry as well. And when you guys were, and when you mentioned the T-style discussions and T-style learning, have you guys noticed that some of your outside hobbies or projects or things like that become the catalyst to which you start talking to people over? So, I mean, for instance, like maybe some of your hobbies or something, and you just found something cool to talk about there.
When you say that, do you mean like in terms of like to network more with people, to meet, or you know?
Network connections, yeah.
Yeah, well, that actually happened to me. Yeah, in James Bond, I was actually like I ended up actually talking with Daniel Craig about soccer and stuff like that. You know, so it's like these kind of things. Obviously, you know, we didn't become best friends, but my point here is, like you just said, you know, having hobbies. I mean, we all feel passionate about the industry that we are in, right? But we all like something, you know. I like playing golf. You probably, you know, I don't know if you have a specific hobby, but you probably do.
Sure.
Yeah, it's important to be able to relate to people in a personal aspect. I guess, you know, people like that. You know, people don't like to just talk about work. People like to talk about other things. And when they like the topic that you're bringing to them, or you're, you know, they find, or even better, when they find you interesting enough, that's when you connect immediately, and then it can lead up to really good things, right?
Yeah, definitely. You don't, you know, you mentioned a great point earlier. You can't go to network with someone like you're networking with them. You have to go to be a friend, or, you know what I mean? You have to find some common interests. If I have an artist that likes shooting guns, I'll go shoot guns with them. You know, if you like sneakers, I'll come wearing my fly sneakers. Or something, you know what I mean? Something like that, to where they're like, oh, he's interested in the same stuff that I like, and then you become friends. And then once you become friends, it's easy to do the things that you want to do. But the hobbies are a good jump-off point for networking, because it'll help you find a common interest with the person you're trying to get something from, or that will help elevate you to another position.
When I think back to all the interviews that I've done, I think the ones that went the best were when we connected about something outside of work, just because when you're talking about, work, it's sometimes hard to communicate why you're into the work in the first place, because you're so caught up about trying to describe the work. Like, I really like gaming. And when a lot of the design that I do is influenced by like video game culture and things like that. And when you're able to have those conversations, like in an interview, you give now being on the other side of the table where I do a lot of interviews, like it makes it way easier for me to understand why you even like doing this, because nobody wants to really hire anybody that isn't passionate about the work. The key is like for you to communicate why that passion exists and like why you're not going to get tired of this in like a week or a month, or like even a year. It's something like it's kind of on you to communicate to the interviewer like why this is important to you, and having hobbies is a big part of that. It's like the easiest way for you to connect with the one that you're talking with.
Well, pretty much they say everything, but I think if you are networking, probably the hobbies are the main thing, because you will not always talk about movies, for example, but you can go to the cinema together, or you can go, I don't know, let's see like a theater or something like that. Those type of things obviously are in your same file path, but the idea is that you try to see things that probably you are not doing right now, but you can do it in the future. For example, you can see, I don't know, let's watch a series. The other day, I have a friend that always told me, this is a new series, you have to watch it. I was like, okay, I have to watch it. So there's the things that you can build with your friends and start to think, okay, if you don't like that thing that, I don't know, in the series happened, you know that in the future you will not do it. So that's another thing that you can take of it, and try to find your friends, because those are the ones who are going to tell you, okay, you're doing something wrong, I don't like this. And try to show them, for example, if you are editing something like a video, well, you will tell them you like it, you don't like it, and they will tell you, well, I hope everyone's telling you the truth. They tell you, okay, no, you're not doing it well. So pretty much is that you have to network with everyone, but try to take close to those that are really committed to pursue something in your career.
I can add just something really quick. Something that I've seen it has worked incredibly well before. Like I said, for me, I tend to research a lot the people I'm about to interview with. Sometimes, I look them up on LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, and I literally become, in a creepy way, a stalker, of these people. But you have to, because sometimes you gotta play the role. If you want a job, I mean, it's not like you have that many options. What you do have is lots of competition, so you might as well be you can never be over prepared, right? So you might as well know a lot about the person you're gonna be talking to, so that hopefully you can be memorable to them, by connecting in an intimate way, If I don't play golf, and I know that this person does, maybe I can do a little bit of research, and then just, maybe a couple of days before I head over to the interview, I'll read something about golf or whatever, or, oh, yeah, I was watching this tournament the other day, something like that, simple things. But they really do pay off, so,
Yeah, and one of the big reasons why stuff that pays off like that, and I want to say, was it Sean? Or someone might have mentioned about getting that call at 2:30 in the morning. Yeah. When I'm hiring somebody or when I'm interviewing somebody for a position, I'm going to have to work with this person at 2:30 in the morning. I want somebody that I can call up at 2:30 in the morning and I can be like, yeah, I know, you were just watching that show. Yeah, so was I. Well, that's great. By the way, but we've got some work to do. We have to go into the office now, or we have to go to the studio. And you want to be able to have that connection. You are not going to want to work with somebody at 3 o'clock in the morning, barely having any coffee, that you can't connect to. Mm-hmm. And everybody's laughing up here because they've all had that moment. And without giving away who that person was, what were some of those moments you guys have had?
I can't say anybody's name.
No. Oh, God. Never say names.
There's definitely been times where I was like, oh my God, I'm working with this person. And then we get in there and I'm like, oh my God, I don't ever want to work with this person again.
Yeah.
You know, so, but that's, in my industry, that's what it's about. It's about, to me, I just had to suck it up because I'm on the other end, but we're trying to make them feel they're sharing their soul with us on the microphone. So you need to feel that comfortable with somebody to do that. That's really important. If that stuff doesn't work, it doesn't matter how technically skilled you are. You know, you have to be able to connect with someone. But yeah, those are the tangible examples I have, is when it's somebody that I'm like, oh, I get to work with this person, and then I realize, well, we just don't connect personally.
Yeah.
Just because I liked his music doesn't mean that we're the same kind of people.
The same page.
Yeah.
And I think what's really great about that, and it's kind of the reason I kind of threw that little bit of a loaded question out, and I'm so happy you picked it up that way, is that one of the biggest things that I found going from being a full-time student to a full-time professional is, as a full-time student, I didn't have to worry about, oh, if we don't really get along, I'm just going to work on this other student project, you know, whatever. You can't do that as a professional. Because if you were to walk away from every person that you just didn't connect with on a personal level, you would never work again. And part of this whole transition period, and something I hope that you will end up learning to do really well, is being able to find where you do connect. Which is one of the reasons why I've been trying to get these guys to talk a little bit about how important hobbies are, how important talking to each other is, how important creating these relationships is, and really just kind of molding it into that. Because at the end of the day, this is really what it is. It's your life. And it's the people that you're going to walk through this life with that is your career. I was, and I apologize for stealing a minute from you guys. I was actually blessed when I first came to Full Sail. I met Ralph Singleton, an amazing film producer. And we kind of connected for a quick minute because I went back to school at 30 and he started his film career at 30. And he looked at me and he's like, listen, no matter what happens, your absolute worst day on set will always be better than your best day at McDonald's. And you know what, you chuckle at it for a second, but then when you think about it, it's true. Because I'm not passionate for working in the food industry. I'm passionate for working in the entertainment industry. And I guarantee there's somebody out there right now who's going, I love making hamburgers and cannot wait to get back to work. And I will go eat lunch there. But for us, going from the student into the professional, we've got to hold that passion. And before we start getting to questions from you guys, I would love to know, for you guys, what have you guys done to hold on to that passion and that perseverance going from student to professional?
For me, I'm just going to talk about side projects. I think as a designer, I typically execute other people's ideas pretty much for my career, and that's fine. I love that, but sometimes it's like a healthy thing to just come up with my own thing and have the freedom to express myself the way I want to. When you're working for a company or a business, your priority is to help that business or that company grow, make money, achieve their goals. You can't always be that selfish to put yourself before the goals of whoever you're working for. So and I think as a creative person that can be really tough, actually, right? Because we all have our own dreams and our own visions. So the way I've kept my passion alive is just to always be working on a side project. And I know a lot of people who their side projects become their lives. I think everybody is one side project away from changing the rest of their lives. You just have to find the right thing at the right time, hit the right market, and it could take off. You'll get funding. I've seen it so many times, before, and it's happening all around us every day. So I think the one thing that I always just want to harp on is to have a side project.
Well, in my case, when I graduated from Full Sail, I always think about it. that I want my own production company. I always say to my mom, was like, okay, do it, you can do it. And obviously when I get out, I start to, how can I do it? I start obviously with my sister, friends from here, and we say, okay, let's start this one. Now we have it. Okay, what we're gonna do with the production company? Probably it's small compared to another ones. Yeah, it's true. But at least it's something that you can do if you are not, I don't know, if someone hires you or something, or the company that you would love to work with. But in my case, I didn't work for someone. It's not, I don't know, it's my case. There's people that love it and are really good on that. But I start to think, okay, I want to go to film, but I have first the opportunity to make TV shows. That's awesome, because in my case, I didn't know a little bit about TV shows. So I started to research, I started to learn from, I don't know, websites and all this stuff. I started to watch TV shows also to see what they have done right now and see what I can do a little bit different, because everything is pretty much the same, but that's the thing, you have to search something that others didn't do. So we start to do that, and then we start to do like a film festival that is about horror, suspense, and sci-fi films. And the idea is always to try to be creative, no matter what. If you don't have budget, probably the most of the time you will not have enough budget. But if you have it, you have to try to, I don't know, approach it the most you can. And if you don't have, try to do it with your friends. There's friends that have the cameras, there's another friends that can give you money if you want, or if you want to sponsor, you should, I don't know, try to keep the most, the friends. That's why important networking it is, because you don't know who's going to help you and who's the one who going to give you that, I don't know, like push on to do your things. For my case was that.
I think I've kept my passion alive by just striving to always be better. You know, I went to 2 recording schools, and I didn't have any problem with that, because I knew what I wanted to keep going. 10 years ago, recording was way different than it is now, so I wanted to update that. I think just always trying to find another goal, or acknowledging when I reach my goal to get beyond that. When I came to school here, I heard about a course director award. I'm like, I gotta get that. I gotta get valedictorian. I gotta get everything that they have. So I think just always trying to make yourself better. You know, passion for music's easy, because when I turn it on, I feel passionate about it. But the work ethic is, just trying to be better. And I think another thing is just realizing, especially currently in my career, realizing that there's so many people, so many opportunities, and so much money out there that you can find what works for you. You know what I mean? Like if you're an artist and you just want to do there's going to be a pocket of people that mess with what you're doing. They may not be the group of people that you want to work with or that represent the artists that you like, but you can find a fan base without having to change yourself. As an engineer, I can find jobs that pay what I want and do the things that I want. And that inspires me and drives me, just realizing that there's so much out there. You just got to keep going until you find what works exactly for you.
Yeah, for me, like you said, I think the most important part that I think plays a huge role in how I approach every day is just that I keep the exact same passion that I arrived with when I first came here to pursue this career. I honestly don't know what I would have, studied if my dad would, have supported me to come here and everything. But just the overall experience of going to a theater and watching a movie with this, sound effects and playing with people's emotions and telling all types of stories, I love that. And being able to be part of that process is what gets me up bed every day. It gets me excited about it. now at the company where I'm working, and knowing that I can, I'm an elemental piece on the whole structure of putting a movie in 1,000 screens or 3,000 screens in Germany or here in the U.S. or if I see somebody watching a movie online that I was able to close a deal with, with our CEO, and distribute it. That's what really gets me up there every day. So it's I guess if I could explain in a short way, the fact that I have very clear in my mind what I want to keep doing, what I want to get better at, it's what just keeps me going. It's something that I can't stop thinking about, literally. Yeah.
I don't think any of us could have said it better. That was awesome, man.
Well,
Guys, we're going to go ahead and open it up for some questions. There's some amazing people here with microphones. So if you've got a question, make sure you get your arm up in the air. There's a wealth of knowledge up here. Sweet. I love it when those hands just shoot up fast.
yeah.
Is this okay? It's working. Sean, how do you decide how to divide your time between the stuff you get paid for and the stuff you're doing freelancing on your own?
Everything I do, I get paid for.
Well, I mean stuff that's more job related or stuff that's more you related,
Okay, so if I wanted, instead of recording someone, if I wanted to make some music or something, it's just when there's nothing, and when I want to practice my craft. So it's not a matter of balancing time. It's what I said earlier about finding, instead of being I have to come into class this late, see what hours you have available in the day. That's what I do. If I don't have a session yet or someone didn't call, a lot of my days start where I don't have anything, but then something's going to happen that day. So I'll get up early and I'll say, let me go and start working on something before someone hits me up. So I guess the balance part is finding the opportunities in the pockets of time that I have.
Okay.
Hello? Sean? I'm sorry if this is kind of an open-ended question. I'm just, in Full Sail, I'm a really shy person, and I don't know, just how do you get good at networking? I know it's always networking, but I never understood how to do it efficiently because
I think that you just want to find, that's a great question, because it's hard, because when you talk about it, it seems hard, how do I get this person to help me? But it's really way easier than you think. I think if you find a person that does the things that you want to do, or is someone who's able to get you to the places that you want to get to and find some of their common interests, that's what I do. I don't do any business talk or anything like that. By the time we talk about a business thing, we're already friends. So common interest is the easiest way for you to do that. If you go in and the guy that you're trying to work with, or the young lady that you're trying to work with, watches a show all the time, maybe you go watch that show so that next time you see them, you can bring up something.
Yeah.
It's real smooth. It doesn't have to be crazy business. You know what I mean? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, thanks, Sean.
You're welcome.
I think this is my question for everybody, including for William. And knowing that we understand how the Full Sail workflow, have classes and homework day in, day out. Even as a Full Sail student, we also have work to do at around 4 or 5 a.m. So my question to you guys is, how are you guys able to combat those creative kind of wall, or just you're having a hard time being creative and it's just kind of the creative block and it just prevents you to do anything? How do you combat that and go through that and push yourself to someone greater? Is that a good question? I don't know.
No, actually, it's a really good question.
Yeah, it is. That's a very interesting question, yeah.
Did you? You looked like you got one. Yeah, I've got one too. So, go ahead.
I would say, if I mean, the shortest way, because I sort of have a producer mind on me, so I try to be very logical about things. I tend to overthink a lot. So something that really helps me is to just simplify everything. Look at it as what it is. Problems happen all the time. we have to face them. There's no way around them, and especially in this industry, you have to get stuff done, right? So it's, you can't just afford yourself to sit down and get frustrated. So you might as well, and that's why you have all these people, around you. That's why you have a team of people you can rely on, mentors as well. I think it's incredibly important to have a mentor, at least one if you can. And yeah, just be a sponge, absorb as much knowledge as you can, and because whenever you never expect it, that's when the solution will hit you. So that's the beauty of creativity. You can have all these crazy ideas, and then once you're about to put them on a paper or on a painting or on a song, whatever it is, sometimes it's hard to translate it into that. So just approach it in a simple way, I will say.
Yeah, another thing that I want to add is that, for example, when we were here doing the scripts for the films that we have to make for projects, obviously you were writing and probably you were like, okay, I'm blocked. I don't know how to end the story to don't make it like boring or that people can understand it, because that's the idea, that you have a creative idea and then the people can understand what you're trying to do. So in that times, for what I did is like, I watch a movie, one of my favorite directors or something, or I love to play volleyball, so I used to do that, or just walk or something. And in those moments was when I get the best idea from the scripts or something like that. So try to do the things, your hobbies, because in those moments that you're going to start to think, okay, something, put in your mind, and that's it, pretty much.
Oh no, man, go ahead.
For me, actually, I think this question was asked in an earlier panel, and I've had some more time to sort of think about it. It's a tough question because it's different for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think we all have our own sort of things that gets us like mindset. But for me, I think I try to just be productive. If I can't be productive with, something that I'm currently, doing for work, then I'll do laundry, or I'll do the dishes, or figure out my taxes. I'll do something that I've been putting off for a while, because if I get that, I feel like when I'm productive at one thing, it helps me be productive at the next thing. So that's typically my strategy for combating creative blocks and things like that.
That's a great strategy. Yeah, I wish I was that productive at being at creativity blocking. I don't know. For me, I've got two wells that I usually dip from. One of which is creativity breeds creativity. So when I feel that my tank is empty, I've got a bunch of friends who are CG modelists, painters, songwriters. They do everything except what I do. And I go hang out with them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And their passion and their creativity, you hang out with those people for like 20 minutes and all of a sudden you're just like, boom, you're back up here again. Mm-hmm. If I can't hang out with anybody, I'll flip it the other way. And I'll go find somewhere incredibly quiet and I'll pull back my favorite films. Music is awesome. Any of, or even, I wish I could do my taxes that way. That'd be so great. Man.
Don't we all?
Yeah. But I'll go and I'll do something and I'll focus it there. And those two usually work for me.
I just got really good at making mistakes. And I just know I'm always making mistakes until I get to where I want to go. But if I'm in circles and I just can't get out, then I'll just go do something else. Something not related at all. I'll go, play Battlefield or something.
Yeah, something different.
So what else do we got? We got some more questions out there, guys? I think I see a couple of hands. There's some blinders.
Okay. One of the questions I have is I'm going to be graduating in a few months, and in fact, me and my friends here, we're going to be starting our graduation process. So, is there any advice you can give us, things that we should expect, things that we should do that a lot of people tend to overlook before the big day comes up, and any advice you can give us afterwards? Something that we should start now, or just start as soon as we can.
Do you know where you want to go?
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Figure that out.
Yeah.
Like yesterday.
Yeah. No,
So because you want to know where you're going. So when you get out, you're going there.
Yeah.
Because you have a clock that will start ticking after you get out of here, and you want that to start. this doesn't count as work right now. This counts as you can get in the door. So you need to get in the door as soon as you can. Figure out where you want to go right now.
Be prepared to be rejected as well. It happens to all of us.
Yeah.
But also be very patient as well. Because, a lot of people, they tend to get frustrated on the first, 2-3 tries after, 1 or 2 interviews. And it's like, the world isn't over. It's like, you got to keep going. And you got to start somewhere at the end of the day, right? So it's like he just said, you got to figure out where you want to be at. It's probably going to be way more competitive than here because now you're not going to be in a classroom with teachers or, where you can ask questions. Now you're going to be out there in the real world. So, just be very patient. Very patient, very persistent. And, that should be it. I don't know who said this phrase, but you might probably know it, but I read this phrase somewhere in a book. Some filmmaker said, my 3 Ps for filmmaking are passion, perseverance, and patience. So, I think it's as simple as that, honestly.
And try to make your reel right now, your website, try to, move your social networks, because people think that the social networks are not important, and they are. Because you can show people, for example, little videos, like for 1 minute, that you can be the most creative you want. And people will start to follow it if you try to, your friends, your family, other people will start to look at it. Because we'll see that you're, for example, if you love to do as a DP, obviously you will always have photographs, really good ones. Try to take pictures here in full sail, or people, or try to do things that can keep you moving until you figure out what really is your position or whatever you want to do. So pretty much try to make your portfolio before you go out of here.
Yeah, I would say also be prepared for a good bit of rejection. It happens to everyone. I know for me, when I was in school, I sent out my resume and my portfolio as I was a student. And in the beginning, the worst thing that could happen is they don't answer. If they don't, if they say no, at least you can ask why. So I think in the beginning, I just never got any answers. But as my portfolio got better and better, people started saying no as opposed to ignoring me. And then that opened the door for me to say why. And then when they came back, I would tweak my portfolio based on some of their suggestions. And eventually, they stopped saying no and they started saying yes. So I think it's a strategy that you can incorporate pretty early on into your full sail career. It's never, you're never too inexperienced to get ignored or said no to. So you can start, second or third month if you really wanted to.
I think one of the other things to look at, and I think Sean made a really great point about knowing where you want to go. Because no matter where you go, it takes time to establish yourself. On average, and I don't care if you're getting in the film industry, if you're going to be a plumber, I don't care what your job is. It is a fact. It takes 3 to 5 years to establish yourself in a new location. And that's every time you move. That's every time you change a job. Because people get to know you for you, and they get to know you in that area. So if you don't know where you're going yet, that clock hasn't started. So when you get there and you start putting out all those resumes, and that's where the rejection and stuff comes in, you've got about a good anywhere from 1 to 3 years of hearing, oh no, that's okay. But here's a project you can do. Once you start hitting somewhere between 2 to 4 years, you'll be able to start living off of what you make. Somewhere in there, you're going to start breaking that ground. And that's just a reality. Now, don't get me wrong, there are people out there that have been incredibly blessed and right out the gate, they're doing fantastic. But if you plan on being that person that wins the lottery ticket, I guarantee you will lose. Winning a lottery ticket's a blessing, not a career path. So hopefully you can kind of glean that out just a little bit and add to that perseverance, network, build, and move.
Yeah, I have to add to that, the relationship that I built with Leslie. There were already other kids that got out after me or something. They were there, but when I got there, he already knew me. So that's what I'm saying. If you know that you got to be someone's buddy, you need to already start being friends with them. You know what I mean?
And how long were you doing that relation? Like when? How long?
I think I saw him the summer. It was in August of 2015, and then I graduated in March. So I went every month until I graduated.
Yeah.
That also somehow happened to me I think it was at a career development event as well. I just became friends with this producer, you know, and we hit it right off, you know. And he's recommended with so many different people. I've been able to meet a lot of very interesting people that do the same things I would like to pursue just because of that, you know. We had a conversation, and you know, from then on, I tried to stay in touch with him and just trying to figure my way around. You know, I sort of adopted a mentorship through him, and you know, it's worked well. So whoever you want to imitate as well, look for people like that, you know, and try to see what ways or ways in which you can connect with them, you know, one way or the other.
Do we have any more questions out there? Okay, I see at least one over here.
I have a couple in the back over here from our online viewers. I have one that's a joint question from Neil Martinez from our game design program and Leah Porsche from our online graphic design program. The question is, being an online student, how would you recommend building relationships and networking without having the standard face-to-face interaction, and also taking into account people that might be from a small town as well?
Commenting on their posts, FSO is your friend. And you may be able to develop a relationship outside of FSO. If you see someone who writes a post and it sticks out to you or resonates, then you should try to build a relationship with them. You don't have to be here. You have tons of people on Facebook and Instagram that you don't know that may not do as much for your life as the people that are on FSO.
Yeah.
So I would say to start with seeing a post and say, oh, I like that, and then try to, you know, be friends with that person. Maybe
Common
call them or
interest, right?
something. Yeah.
Sharing your work as well. What if somebody sees it and they find it interesting and it happens the other way around? You won't do the outreach, but somebody will look for you, perhaps.
Yeah, I think the only thing I have to add is really just social media, you know. I think, you know, you take advantage of FSO, but also, like, you know, see, like, if you guys share the same interests via Instagram or something like that. Find different avenues to have conversations with others. I'm not gonna lie, it's tougher when it's not face-to-face.
Yeah. But it's not impossible, obviously. And you can be, like you said before, you can be a stalker. So you can start to find those people that you are really interested in something. So you can try that. It works because there's a lot of people that start to...
Just don't be creepy, all right?
Yeah, don't be creepy.
Do it right. Do it professionally.
Don't be creepy, but...
Don't like all the photos.
Yeah.
You know, no wrong.
For example, I start to find a lot of producers in Miami by social media. And most of them, like 3, I know them right now. So it works because... I don't know, in one event, we know each other and was like, hey, I have you in my Instagram. You too? Okay. And that can work in some cases.
I grew up in a small town. I grew up in nowhere, Michigan, over here. So I actually am big on flipping that question back on the person asking when it comes to, if you're in a small town, how do you reach out to people? No, it's not how do you reach out to people, it's how do people reach out to you. Because you need to be that beacon of light. If you're in a small community where there's no creativity or you can't find it, then you need to become it. And once you become it, they will come to you. So if you don't have a meetup in your town for insert whatever here, build it. Think of all the film festivals out there, all the conventions that are out there right now. They all started because somebody in their town went, well, how do I meet this person? How do I meet people? How can we get everybody together? Small town, big town, you can do it easily.
All right, thank you for that one. I have one more from Shelby in the show production program. She wants to know, how do you break out of your comfort zone? And how do you get the courage to do something that you might not be skilled at or that you might be new at?
But they're getting deep now.
I never did television before. And when I have the opportunity, I said, let's do it. And I start to like call my friends like, hey, we're going to do 2 TV shows. And they call me like, what? I was like, yeah, we're going to do it. And what we did was pretty much like, okay, I will search for what are the positions that you have in TV, for example. And obviously you compare or are similar in film. But for example, in the director, it's not pretty much the same at all. So I have to start to learn how to direct the talent while I was in the master. In the TV show, it was like, okay, I never did it before, but I will do it. Now, for me, it's super easier right now. But that's the thing, is you don't know something, try to know how to know it. That's pretty much. Or try to find somewhere like a mentor or a professor here in Full Sail that obviously they have the experience and they can help you because probably they work in a TV show or in a film or something. And obviously, if you don't know something, you can go with it. For example, in my case, I didn't know a lot of laws here. And when every time we have to go to travel and take permissions and all the stuff, I always call Davey. That was he's an entertainment lawyer, and she's awesome. She explained me, Priscilla, you have to do this, this. I was like, okay, now I get it, and that's the only way that I have. She's like, in that way, she's my mentor. But I have a lot of professors here in Full Sail that'll help me a lot, and that's pretty much if you don't have someone that can give you that type of, I don't know, knowledge.
Don't be scared. YOLO.
That's true.
Guys, I would like to thank all of you guys. You guys have been a fantastic panel, and there have been some amazing questions, guys, and hopefully there's some big takeaways. So thank you for coming to full-time student to full-time job. As you guys go, though, I actually have a challenge to every single person in this room. We talked about networking, and there was a few people that had questions about how do you do it. You are at one of the biggest networking events for Full Sail all year long. I challenge each of you to find 3 people you have never seen before in your entire life at this event. You get their contact information, you find a way to talk to them. Just 3. It's not hard. You can even do 1 a day. But find 3. I guarantee you that you will connect somehow, and at least one of those 3 people within the next few months will continue the conversation, and that will be the dawn of a wonderful working relationship. So once again, thank you to our amazing panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we take a picture with you guys?